Japan on a dime. You want to know how to do it? You can watch it up here on Geek Out SA, right here. And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun.
Friday. Friday.
And I have Jovan here
Hey, good afternoon.
from Montaque Travel.
Yay! So we're gonna go traveling. That's a
Yeah,
good thing.
let's go travel.
I want to go travel.
So we're talking about Japan on a dime. So you talk and you say, well, how am I ever going to go to Japan? It's going to be way too expensive. One thing the typical thing that I've heard a lot is that, oh, it's like if you go to Tokyo, it's like super, super expensive to stay anywhere over there. And apparently that's not necessarily true.
That's not true. Well, first let's talk about Tokyo. Tokyo, the hype is you're going to spend $500 a night. The truth is you can get away with staying in Tokyo for just under $35, $40 a night, depending on what your expectations are. For example, I helped a group of college students plan their own trip for the Christmas party to go to Tokyo for New Year's, and they all found a hostel that had 8 people to a room, bunk bed style, like you're going on a summer camp break, and per person was $40 a night.
But do you ever get people like freaked out, worried when you say the word hostel because they've seen those movies too many times? So they're like, I'm scared.
Well, the funny part is that hostel takes place in Europe where people are known to disappear, and in Japan they want to make sure that they keep eyes on you at all times. So you're not necessarily shocked, scared, or going to disappear into a bad horror movie.
So just Big Brother is watching you.
That seems so much better.
I would rather have Big Brother than super exclusive rich guys making people disappear for medical
experimentation.
ideas. Exactly.
Oh, and also welcome, guys. Fulgur is on here watching. Also,
Hi,
Jaybird
Fulgur.
Videos. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.
Because they want to go to Japan on a dime too.
I definitely
Because
wanna
who
go to
doesn't want to go to
Japan
Japan on a dime? I want to go.
Well, I always want to go.
So you have because we've actually met through an actual YouTube meetup that happens every week on Wednesday, and you came on one day and you came as a travel company,
Yeah.
and what a lot of people don't understand is that YouTubers isn't necessarily just for typical YouTubers that are just vlogging all day. There's some people that actually use this for business, and this is what you're doing right now to be able to show off some of the sites that you can go to with your travel agency.
Yeah. The main reason why I wanted to come to the San Antonio meetups was to network, get tips on how to make my YouTube channel more successful. But on the business end, I use my channel, Montaque Travels, to not only teach people about Japan, but to let my students see a different part of the world that they always see in cartoons or anime or Pokemon or video games, and they always have questions, but they can't see it. And having a 3-hour conversation about just Tokyo is repetitive, so I wanted to do a YouTube series on my travels.
See, and that's one of the things that's really great about YouTube is even now we're talking about Japan on a dime, but we were talking earlier about one of the hotels that's $500 a night and you got it for like $114 a night. That still may not be a dime that somebody can afford, right? So it depends on where your dimes are. So if you can't afford that yet, a lot of people do use YouTube in that way to kind of live vicariously through being able to watch those. So I like that you're putting those videos up. What are some of the places that you put videos up of so far?
The question should be, where haven't I put videos?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Basically, 2017, I had 3 groups come with me, and a lot of people wanted to go to places that are in animes. Some people wanted to go to places that I'd already seen on YouTube, as well as they wanted to go to restaurants, butler cafes, maid cafes, animal cafes. So we started off in Tokyo, and the funny story with that is that I was a day ahead of everyone. So I was in a hotel by myself. But we started in Tokyo. Some people wanted to go out and see the Gundam statue. for all the Goompla fans, you already know that this last summer they took it down. So I got there as deconstruction was starting. When I left, it was restarting. But we did hit up Akihabara. We hit up all of the major haunts for all the rare collectible toys, Funkos, and where everything's located. I took a day trip out to Kawasaki City because I'm a photo buff. You have this wonderful, wonderful secret place that's magical called Yodobashi Camera, and they have so many locations across Japan, it's insane. So imagine we took one American Toys R Us and then a Best Buy and shoved them into one building. I have videos of that on my channel. Not only that, for old school anime fans, I went to Aru Aru City in Kokoda, which is on the southern end of Japan. For those of you that love Captain Harlock, if you go to my Instagram, I have pictures with Captain Harlock and the cast from the original Captain Harlock Space Show. With that being said, went to famous ramen museums. My friends that came with me from New Orleans, they went to the Yokohama Ramen Museum. I was doing other YouTube business that day, so I didn't get a chance to
Wait,
go.
what's at a ramen museum?
Okay.
I just have to know. Like that, I just heard that and I was like, wait a
like
minute.
old ramen noodles.
No, I need to know. Tell me.
Okay. So we're gonna pause that. First off, the Ramen Museum in Yokohama is a shout out and a live action throwback to the 1960s business culture of Japan. You're getting off the train in the middle of the summer, and you're going down a business alley for restaurants and bars. So when you walk into the Ramen Museum, as you go downstairs, you are literally walking into the 1960s, 70s, and 80s of life in Japan with different restaurants that are offering you sample bowls of different recipes from that era.
Oh, that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
So the dead giveaway when you're getting off the train station that you have a giant red bowl with yellow noodles going up and down in a motion in a live statue. That's how you know you're there. But the reason why I wanted to go and I missed it, I'm going back this summer, is that they have live music. So you have some local artists or cover artists that are doing hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s of Japanese business, not necessarily business music, but what was popular back then.
That's so cool.
Now, I'm going to break everyone's heart. In Fukuoka and Hakata City, you have the Ramen Stadium. Reason why it's amazing, you have 32 restaurants. It's 2 floors in a gigantic shopping mall bigger than the Galleria. And you can try ramen from all over the world in one place. And they have the Golden Ticket Challenge, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh my
Wow,
God, our sons would just die.
You're making
our
me
sons
hungry
would
already.
Die.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So we have Elfin Chicklets watching while out at dinner. So thanks for
so
watching.
now we're making
Appreciate
you
that.
even
That's my friend
hungrier.
Trish from New Orleans. I want to make sure she gets a shout out.
We also have
Hi,
S.
Trish.
Guzman. Remind me to go to the ramen museum later. I don't know who S. Guzman is.
I don't know.
I don't know
Could
if you're
be somebody
related.
you know.
Okay.
Who knows? But you should definitely do that. So you were talking about your YouTube channel. Now we do have a video that we can show about Tokyo. I think it's like a minute long.
Yeah.
It's one of your videos. So if you want to go ahead and cue that up, Stuart. We're back.
Right.
So that was a really interesting video. In that is when you usually see things about Tokyo or Japan, it's at night.
Yeah.
You don't really see so much during the day, especially on like movies and stuff like that. It's usually stuff at night because, but it's interesting to see that contrast
Thank you.
because it kind of looks like an almost everyday kind of city.
Yeah. What I was trying to do with my video series of the different areas I've been to in 60 seconds is that I wanted to show what day-to-day life looks like. So when you get off the plane, you're not hit with, oh, I'm expecting this beautiful movie-like experience. No, I want you to enjoy what you're going to be seeing as you're walking through the streets, interacting with people, and going to these different venues.
That's actually really great, not only for travel, but it's really good for myself as an educator, because I've just been doing a series where I was looking at trying to find culture for Latin American countries, because of the kids that we get here often in Texas come from Latin American countries, so that if we understood their culture, we could understand a better way to help them when they're trying to get educated here in the United States. But we also often get students from Japan and from China who come over here. So if we could have a place like your site where I could go look, because I've never been, or I've never been immersed in the culture, and so I don't have that language of the culture, that understanding, that concept. So if I could go look at it on YouTube for just a little bit and maybe bring something up in a conversation to a student and make that connection to them, it can make their education so much easier. So I think that that's another really great thing that you're doing that you may not have even realized that you're doing, is making those connections for people.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking about earlier how a lot of people tell you, like, well, I can never make it over there. It's going to be way too expensive. Because, like, how much is a ticket if you go from the U.S. to Japan?
Okay. I wanted to help people understand the stereotypes about travel agents, and I also wanted people to understand how to book your tickets. First off, when you go to yellowpages.com or you ask Siri or however you find a travel agent, understand that they want 30% of your total trip. That goes in their pocket. That doesn't help you. Myself starting a small business so I could show students the process of starting a business, I'm charging less than 8% on anyone's package deal for Japan. My minimum is 1,000. So, but it's 1,000 split up. To get to the main question about how do you get to Japan from San Antonio, cut out the middleman. If you use Google Flights or Expedia or anything, you have to understand when you take one airline all the way from San Antonio to Japan, you are paying the liftoff and the drop fees from every airport. So, for example, San Antonio International Airport, the average flight you're paying anywhere from $80 to $200 on any flight leaving. That's just in taxes and fees. What I did for my trip is that I broke the chain down. I said, okay, how long does it take to get from one part of LAX to the next? Or how long does it take to get from one part of SFO to the other part for international flights? 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how long it takes you to get your bags. So, to give you what I did is that my flight from San Antonio to LAX was $368. It was on sale. That's round trip. The day I was leaving, and then the day I flew back from Japan, I had a 7-hour layover. I didn't care. The flight from LAX to Tokyo was $728. I got it on sale because United and all of their Star Alliance partners launched a sale. United was actually $590, but that's when all the negative drama was coming up with United. So I said, you know what? I'm going to fly the Japanese airline that I flew when I was teaching in Japan, ANA. With ANA, I had drinks whenever I wanted them, and we're talking non-alcoholic beverages. If I wanted a bottle of water, they'd give it to me. If I wanted a can of Coke, they'd give it to me, or Pepsi, juice, whatever. One of the benefits of flying with ANA is that you have a built-in screen, a little bit bigger than my tablet, that is wired to the ANA's internal Netflix account. Literally.
What?
Yes, you can watch. I watched John Wick 3 times because the guy in front of me was watching John Wick and I was half asleep. And I'm like, he's watching John Wick too. Wait a minute. Done.
Nice.
Then I was watching Japanese. They had a Japanese real life drama. In Japan in the 80s, they had a lot of working class dramas, making fun of Friends and everything else before there was Friends. So I watched a couple episodes of that because it had subtitles. I watched a Korean movie that had English subtitles. I watched a German movie that had subtitles.
So how long is the flight?
From LAX to Tokyo, going, it's 11. On the way back, it's 9.
11 hours.
11 hours.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is. But here's the thing.
No, it's not. Try flying to Australia.
Yeah, he's got his beef for flying to Australia. That's 28 hours. My uncle just did it for his bucket list trip.
Well,
Oh my
because when you're
goodness.
coming back, it's because the
Date.
Earth is
Yeah. The date line.
turning
Yeah.
as you're going. So you're not going. You're going against. You're going against the turn, so it's faster.
You're going with the turn, it's faster. When you're flying out, you're going against. That's why it's longer.
Yeah.
That all seems very long.
Well, here's the thing. I have a friend local. He has issues with flying, and I said, look, the way to do it is that you have to survive getting to LAX. Once you get on LAX, take NyQuil and eat dinner, pass out, wake up, and then talk to people for 3 hours. You're in Tokyo. Done.
Oh, true. Are the planes like any bigger when you're going over to Japan, or are you still kind of cramped in all of that little space?
Let's be honest. When you're flying out to Japan, you have some people call them double-decker planes, but it's the new 767 or the 787 jetliners. Those things are massive. Problem, when you're flying coach and you're trying to save money, Japan on a dime,
Right.
you're in coach, and I'm broad-shouldered. I got bumped and beat up sitting on the aisle seat. I will never sit on the aisle seat again. I will sit in the middle and just deal with that one person who wants to get out from the window and go to the bathroom. That was fine. But when everyone wants to get up and go past you, yeah, not fun.
I always feel really weird when I'm in the middle. Like if I fall asleep, like you said, that then I'm just going to be leaning on some stranger next to me. Luckily, normally I'm flying with Vince, so I can lean on Vince and he leans on me and we're okay. But there have been a few times where we booked the flights like super late, and so he was like up in this
And
row
she
and I
likes
was in
the
this
window
row.
seats, and I like the aisle seats.
Yeah.
And that's I always have to give that up. I have
Yeah.
to. I have to sit in the middle.
Whoops, my fault.
Well, the benefit is if one of the things that I've been telling people about lately is that if you have a frequent flyers program with any major airline, or you have the Chase Explorer card, the USA business card, or any of the new cards coming out from different companies, you can upgrade your seats. And I've been watching Mikey Chin on YouTube, and I've been watching other YouTubers that are bank their miles. And what happens is that one trip a year that they sacrifice to build up points, they sit in coach, but they're still getting the miles. And then once they got the miles rolling, they upgrade to business. And I wanted to cry walking past the business seats on my flight last summer because they get beds, not seats.
I've seen that before. I've seen that on YouTube before, actually. So yeah, I'd be like, that would be nice. But I bet that's not cheap.
No,
That's not on a dime.
Well, I've seen the ones where they have like their own like almost little room that they can close off.
yeah, that's on more expensive airlines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I did is that I signed up for the ANA Sky Miles program, and this summer I'm going to get 10,000 miles. So when I go next summer, I'm going to use the points. Hopefully, I have enough to upgrade my wife's seat and my seat, so we can not be
Nice,
cramped.
nice.
But the trick is when if you're even booking your own trip to Japan, you have to plan out a year in advance. And telling two teachers that we need you to do lesson plans for a year, that's like, I have enough lesson plans for a year, but do I really have to do it? Yes. The thing with traveling to Japan, a lot of people don't understand, is that if you book Aero Mexico from San Antonio International to Tokyo, that's a 2-day trip because Aero Mexico isn't running their route straight to Japan. They go to Mexico City, and the businessmen from Mexico that have business in Japan do a one-way shot. So you have an 11-hour layover in Mexico City. A friend of mine did that this summer, and I was telling him you could have just flew to your family in LA, hung out for a night, and then left.
Unless you want to like go to Mexico City and check out a few things there, maybe for a couple of days, and then fly from Mexico City to Japan. Like do some hops and skips all over the place. Because I feel like an 11-hour layover, you might as well, at that point, you might as well stay a day or two. I don't know.
That's exactly what I told him to do, but he didn't listen to me. So.
Oh. See, people should listen to him. He knows what he's talking about.
So in order to do something like this, of course you're going to need a passport if you're here in the U.S.
Yes.
So
I don't have one of those either.
what
I need
kind
one.
of like I don't
Vincent doesn't have
I don't
one
even
either.
have a passport.
Okay.
So
The
how
only
does
places
somebody
we've ever
get a
been is
passport?
like Mexico.
Okay.
Because not I know how to get it. I just haven't done it yet. But
Now,
some people
I think
might
it's
not
now
know how to do it.
80% of people in the United States don't have a passport.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other issue that a lot of people that want to go to Japan ask me about. How long does it take to get a passport? If you plan it right, you can get a passport in under 6 weeks. My wife didn't have a passport, and we were supposed to go this year. So in the fall, when I got back from Japan, I took a day off from work, and we went down to City Public Records, which is right there off of Cesar Chavez, and getting her passport photo paperwork filled out was about an hour. Once we paid the fees, had everything processed, it literally took 3.5 weeks because I paid for the expedited passport. I wanted that out the way. It came out to like $180. But
you can't you even go to Walgreens, right? At least and get
Well,
like
just to
the
get the
photos,
picture, but I think you have to go
and
to
some of the paperwork, and then you fill it
post
out
office
and
or-
put it in the post office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, 3 places that you can easily get your passport application. 1 is online through the federal government. 2 is any post office, and 3 is the Resource and Records Office for the City of San Antonio, Bexar County, or your local municipal office. Photos, if you have a good photo printer at home that has photo paper, you can do I forgot what they're called in the industry. Vince, help me out.
A selfie?
Headshot.
Headshot.
Oh, headshot. I'm like
Yeah.
a selfie.
Not selfie. But, headshot.
Yes.
Walgreens, Rite Aids, any pharmacy that has photography can do it. I think even some malls have passport shops in them. I know San Marcos that if you're trying to do a passport photo for visas for Mexico, you can do it there in San Marcos. But those are the places you can get a passport.
So it sounds like going to Japan is a lot of planning, and planning. So the nice thing is you help people with a lot of the planning to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
What happened, and my short funny story is that the night I got married, my father-in-law and my dad says, "It is funny." It is funny. You know, I almost checked out permanently, but I had a lot of fun. My father-in-law and my dad said, "Hey, we'll pay for your trip to Japan. Make sure you call around and get some quotes from local travelers to San Antonio. This is going back to 30% of your budget." The disclaimer is that travel agents that deal with Japan locally in San Antonio, 1, don't speak Japanese. 2, 9 out of 10 of them have never been. 3, they all buy into the hype that Tokyo's expensive and Japanese is hard and the people aren't friendly and it's miserable going to Japan, and they want to sell you on Europe. And that's what I experienced. The first travel agent I called, she's based out of Alamo Heights, told me it was going to be $18,000 for 10 days in Japan, and that's no translator. Plane tickets are included, and I'm stuck on her schedule. What she did is she pulled up the Globus travel website and went to a list of vendors, and she picked a trip that she thought I would like. And I asked her, I'm like, wait, okay, I'm looking at my email. It says $18,000. Am I staying at any of the major hotels in Japan? You're staying at Marriott Resorts. I'm like, but it's $18,000 for 10 days. Are these the executive suites? Are these the imperial suites? What am I getting here?
Like, what do I get? Am I
getting-
buying a home in Japan?
Am I
Like, am I
buying a
putting a
car?
down
And this
payment?
is
Like what?
$18,000 for one person or 2 people?
2 people.
2 people.
9,000 for my wife and myself with no
Okay.
plane tickets included. So when she gave us the invoice that included plane tickets, it was $23,000.
Holy cow!
Wow.
And I just flat out asked her, what is your commission rate? And she's like, well, based on your trip that you want, I get 35%. I'm like, so you're getting almost $5,000 for what? You didn't do anything. And she's like, what do you mean I didn't do anything? I did my job. And I said, okay. So you're telling me, as a travel agent, I gave you the list of cities I wanted to go to. The trip you picked doesn't cover half the cities I want to take my wife to. Why am I giving you money? She's like, well, you don't have to take it. So that was the end of that conversation. The second travel agent I
So
called,
bye.
really, bye, Felicia. The second travel agent I called in San Antonio, she was based out of the Stone Oak area, said it was going to be $11,000 per person with the plane tickets included. And I'm like, for what? Am I getting a travel agent? Am I getting someone driving with me? Am I getting help around? Does that include train pass? And she's like, what's a train pass? And I'm looking at her like,
Man.
wait, you don't know what the JR pass is? And she's like, what's the JR pass? Is it like the Euro pass? I'm like, yeah, but it's for Japan. So that's what inspired me to start my own business. And I met a local independent travel agent, and she helped me get started. And then that's when I started researching my trip to Japan back in 2015. So what I started learning about the industry is that a lot of people that want to travel to Asia don't know anything. They call a travel agent. The travel agent discourages their dreams of what they want to do, and then makes it expensive as possible, and turns around and gives them. It's like the Diamond Jeweler commercial on the radio, but they give you a $900 5-day trip to Europe, and they want you to be happy and don't ask them about Japan anymore. And the
Wow.
Japanese travel industry and the Ministry of Travel and the Bureau in Tokyo want to change that. What's been happening is that they've reached out to YouTubers that have American followers. They've reached out to Instagrammers and everyone in social media. We're not going to mention Logan Paul. That was a bad idea. But they reached out to a lot
I
of
don't like that guy.
Yeah, they reached out to a lot of Americans that do a lot of travel videos and encouraged them to come to Japan, especially with the Fukushima disaster, the earthquake in Kumamoto. But not only that, the 2019 rugby finals are going to be in Japan.
Oh,
Nice.
Not only that, you're going to have the 2020 Olympics in Japan.
that'll be cool.
So
Which reminds me, Japan is doing really well
In soccer too.
in soccer and football.
Yeah, they're wrecking shop. As a matter of fact, Japan was supposed to play Germany, but Germany got cut out.
Yeah, Germany looks sad.
Yeah,
Thanks to
South
Mexico.
Korea. Not only Mexico, South Korea. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
South Korea
South
did.
Korea opened up on Germany too, and I'm just like,
I've been impressed with South Korea as well.
yeah, they're an up-and-coming team. What's going on though is that local travel agents, you should be able to walk into any travel agent or pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, and it doesn't matter if you want to go to Japan, it's just, you should be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, I want to go to Switzerland. Have you been to Switzerland? What can you tell me about it from your experience? And this is one thing that teachers in the classroom are working with to deal with kids that are coming in from international countries into our classrooms. We have to build a connection. We have to build a bond.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot easier to talk to someone who's been there, has a T-shirt, Team Japan. I don't have one big enough for everyone here, so I have to order some soon. I was going to bring gifts. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But
Your gift can be you're going to speak some Japanese for us in a minute because that is going to be super awesome.
Yes.
Speaks Japanese.
It's Japanese.
That's awesome. So, first question should be, have you been there? What can you tell me about it? Second question is, how much is your commission rate based on what I want? Third question is, what's the best time of year to go? What can I expect when I'm going? Four is, how can it be my trip and not your trip for your business? And the reason why I throw in that last question is, when you look up trips online through other travel agencies going to Japan, you always get a list of things that they will take you to. They will show you, you will do with them. The trip that the two local travel agents referred me to when I was booking for me and my wife's honeymoon was, you get there to Tokyo at 5:30 in the afternoon, riding the bullet train from the airport. Yes, there's a bullet train from the airport to Tokyo, because Narita International Airport in Tokyo is like driving from San Antonio to Houston.
Oh, fun.
So instead of 3 hours on a bus for $10, if you're really trying to be cheap, you can catch the $10 tour bus from the airport to this downtown, or you can pay $27 and take the Keisin Blue Line from the airport, which is an hour and 10-minute ride, or if you're really in a rush, the MEXT Red Line for $55 will get you into Tokyo in 52 minutes. Your call.
You sound like you've lived there or something.
I had 54 days to figure out how to get people in and out of Japan for last summer. I had my group from New Orleans, if they're still watching, hey. The group from San Antonio, they came in later. And then the group from, the young lady from Houston, she came in last. So I literally had 5 opportunities by myself to figure out the best way to get from the airport. Not mentioning the research from YouTube.
And did all of your groups, all the people in your groups wanted to do different things? Were you able to accommodate them, or how did that work for you? did you kind of have some preset things that you knew based on what their interests were that you took them to?
Yes and yes.
Okay, because I was like, I don't know much about like anime or Japanese culture or anything, but I would be interested to go to learn about it. So I may not be that person that preset has ideas of where I would like to go in Japan, per se. So I was just wondering if you had some ideas for that for people.
Okay. My business model is I plan around you, not me. I'm good just being in Japan. For example, the group from New Orleans, they needed to hit Akihabara. That was their number one thing on their list. When we sat down and finalized their trip, they had 120 things. I think they conquered 80 out of the 120 for our time in Tokyo. The way I focused my business model is, it's what you want to do on your schedule. When you see my digital planner, if you email me, ask, the email is montaguetravel@gmail.com. I send you the digital planner, and when you look at the calendar page, it's blank on purpose, because that's you working with me to plan out what's going to make your trip epic. So I don't do any tours before 9 o'clock. I'm usually waking up at 8:30 anyway, because I'm a teacher. But how it works, for an example, our day in Kumamoto when we went to the Shochu distillery, which is Japanese rice whiskey. We met at the train about 9:30, had breakfast, the train station 9:30, got on the train about 10:15, and we were there all day. We came back about 7 o'clock, had dinner, laughed, and we went our separate ways. So everyone wanted to go to the distillery, plus my friend Trish from New Orleans wanted to go check out the local sites from the anime Natsume Yujincho, which is Book of Friends, which is based in the city of Hideyoshi, where I'll be this summer. She wanted to go try out the bun shop. She wanted to go see the station. She wanted to go see where the school was. We got to knock all that out in that afternoon.
Wow.
Oh, good.
So let's say somebody want like message you on there and they said, well, I want to see sword making.
Okay.
Where would you go to see that if they don't necessarily like know anything about it?
Okay, sword making, the last places that are still doing traditional sword making that take visitors are Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. The one in Tokyo, they really want you to pay. It's like a small deposit, and it's not a small deposit to me. They wanted $200 when I last contacted them to be in the room with the sword maker as he's going through the process. I think the gentleman out in Kyoto, we didn't have a chance to go, because I thought it was in Kyoto City. It's in Kyoto Prefecture, and that was 4.5 hours from where we were, and I wasn't going to sit on the train for 4.5 hours and miss out on everything else. But that one, I think it's free because you're walking through the museum and they're working at the same time.
Wow.
So kind of like how they do the glass blowing here in Texas in Wimberley. You just kind of, they're doing orders for their actual business for the glass blowing, and then you get to go in and see. So it's free, and then they hope that you'll buy some Glassworks stuff when you're in the business. So.
And the funny thing is, that's exactly how the Shochu tour we took in Fukuoka and Hideyoshi worked out. What happens is that I have a video, Fukuoka in 60 seconds, and what happens is that when you go to this sake distillery, you walk in, you're giving yourself a self-guided tour of the business, and then of course the distillery side is closed to visitors, but they have an open testing room. You can drink as much as you want. They just want you to buy something before you leave.
All right, there you go.
It worked out for me.
Yeah.
In Hideyoshi, however, they have a gentleman who speaks basic English, like a 5th grade, first time speaking English equivalent for teachers. He gives you the 4-minute tour, and then you have an hour to try out and sample everything that they make. That's another video I have on my channel. And
that sounds fun.
So the funny story about that is that my friend from New Orleans, the group from San Antonio, we were on this tour, and we're thinking, oh, they're going to give us this whole factory tour and give us this classroom video, shows how they make the alcohol. No, he literally says it goes from this machine to that machine. There's their bottling factory around the corner. They have 2 separate buildings. One building makes all the bottles and the labels and everything. The other one makes all the alcohol. Then it's a showroom, and then you're on your own. So
Drink.
I think drink and be merry. And I think we were there for 2 hours because the first place we stumbled to was the ramen shop down the street.
And video games there. There's a ton of video games there, but tell us about what that's like, because I'm sure a lot of the viewers want to say, I've always wanted to see what it's like to be in theirs because we've seen it on like movies and stuff, but to see it there in person would be a completely different thing, I would think.
It's beautiful. For those of you in San Antonio, if you ever get a chance to go to Ricky Otaku Cafe, that is the lightest version of what a true Japanese arcade looks like. The easiest one to get your foot in and get your feet wet before you go hardcore to arcade in Japan is to go out to Moore's right outside of Kawasaki Station in Kawasaki, Japan, because it's the family-friendly video game arcade. One side on the 5th floor, I believe, is all the pachinko machines and the gambling arcade machines for adults. The other floors are the DDR machines. They still have a lot of Dance Dance Revolution in Japan. And they have new versions of it. They have the wind game where you have to hit all the buttons, but you're not moving your feet, you're moving your hands, and you have to match the patterns. And I got dizzy watching the kid.
Wow.
And he even has specialized gloves. I'm like, is this a Michael Jackson joke, or you just... No, there was a video that I watched before going to Japan about the new Dance Dance machines. Kid had rubbed his fingertips off from hitting all the things because he was going so fast.
Oh,
he cranked it up to the ultra insane difficulty. And I'm just like...
So gross.
Ow. But, back to arcades. Akihabara has about 3 big Sega game centers. You have a couple of independent arcade game centers in Akihabara, and they're massive. They're not just one floor and it's like 8 or 9 machines. It's like there's 150 machines in the first one close to Akihabara Station. They have a old school arcade, the throwback section, where you have Pac-Man and Galaga, and then it's going through all the Sega hits all the way up into the 2000s, not including the infamous Initial D drift racing game.
Wow.
So you're never going to get bored if you play video games.
You're like never gonna leave. Don't go there first. Like, go look at some of the countryside and stuff, and then you can go to the arcade.
What I tell people, if it's their first time going to Japan, take the $27 blue Keisen line from Narita Airport to Ueno. Ueno is not Akihabara. You're 2 train stops away. Just 2. You can live. You will breathe. You'll be okay. Ueno is like the older parts of San Antonio around the Riverwalk and downtown. You get a vibe of Japan. You know you're in Japan. There's a couple of little mom and pop ramen shops. There's a lot of nice little quiet places. Once you go to Otomachi Station and then you get on the train and you roll into Tokyo, then you go nuts. Then you go crazy. Get it all out of your system, walking, get the exercise in, because you're going to get locked in and you're not going to want to leave.
So I know a lot of people are going to want to know about it. What's the nightlife like over there?
It depends on your vibe. If you're like the hardcore club kid, you want to go dance, there's 150 different YouTubers that cover nightlife in Tokyo. My expertise as far as nightlife in Japan is that I like to go to the businessmen shochu and whiskey bars, because you're not getting the college kids or the people trying to flirt or hit on you or be annoying. In Japan, you do have this thing called gaijin hunters, and these are the people that just want to talk to you because you're not Japanese. And
Really?
I don't like that. I dealt with that when I was teaching in Japan. So I like going to the whiskey bars because it's an older crowd. They're more relaxed. They're not hyped up. They're like, I just got off work. This is my life. And I want to relax, have drinks with friends, and I'm going home.
And so they don't shun us for being American. They're like, ugh, Americans, gross.
Funny story. When I was teaching in Japan, we had a office party, and I went to the Nijikai. The Nijikai is second party. Sanjikai is third party. Yonjikai is the fourth party. I was gonna prove that even though I don't drink a lot, I can hang to the fourth party, because I wanted to impress the Kendo coach. So what ended up happening is at the fourth party, we go into this whiskey bar, and I found out that I like Japanese shochu, which is literally vodka without the hangover or the kickback in the morning. And I'm like, I can drink this and have fun. And the whole bar was nothing but different varieties of shochu from all over Japan. So I made sure I went back. And what I found out going back is that there's a lot of retired teachers in the Kumamoto City area. Not only they're retired, you have retired principals and professionals that just like the environment. They have great jazz. It overlooks the river. And I just hung out. So around Golden Week, which is the 4th of July in Japan, the first week of May, it's 5 federal holidays. So if you're a teacher in Japan, you get an entire week off that you don't have to burn any vacation time for. And it's better than spring break.
Nice.
So that's also the busiest time of year for bars and restaurants. I walk in and they hired temporary staff, and the young lady was looking at me like, "What do I do with this black guy? He's an American. What do I do with him?" And the owner, remember, I was a regular, so he knew who I was. He's like, "Oh no. He drinks with us at the bar. He has a seat. You don't have to put him at a table." I'm like,
nice. And yes, we just got another comment. Don't drink, kids, from Bob Jim. So, yes, don't drink, kids.
Oh yes. Well, we're not kids. I'm, in my 40s, and I'm not going to tell anybody what y'all's age is. But
Yeah.
In Japan, I think the legal drinking age is 20.
yeah.
yes. I have videos. I have a playlist called Discussion on Cultures, and I have to update the video on the drinking ages and policies in Japan. The reason being is that I did have a couple of families contact me about planning a trip, and one of the mothers was concerned about vending machines in Japan. Disclaimer, anything is available in a vending machine in Japan, from $500 bottles of wine all the way down to a $2 can of beer. And to be wary of where these vending machines are located. So no, I'm not telling you I'm going to help anyone underage get wasted.
No.
Sorry, no. However, I'm going to tell you that be responsible and be wary of where vending machines are located if you're traveling with anyone under 20.
That is good to know. Luckily, all of our children are over 20, so, and we're not going to pay to take you anyway.
The next major thing about booking Japan, again going back to a year in advance, if you have to plan out a year in advance of your life, Japan, you need to plan out a year in advance. Reason being is that if you're trying to go in the Japanese off season, you have to buy your tickets in July, August, or September. If you're trying to pay under $1,000 from LAX to Tokyo, you're trying to get the early sale at the end of July, early August. If you're trying to get the regular price range tickets is anything after October. And if you're going 90 days before your planned trip, expect to pay at least $1,300.
Wow.
And that's just from LA to Tokyo. From San Antonio at the same time, it's $2,600. And that's if you just do the one airline and you don't break out a separate company.
Right. He knows, so.
We got to go check it out.
Yeah, and I
You're
really
getting me
know
excited
that,
about it.
like, I know that our oldest son and his wife, they just got married in October, but I know that that's one of the things that they really want to do is go to Japan. So I kind of felt like that was something that maybe they would get to do when they got to be like 30 or something. But now you're giving me hope that I can send them to you and they can actually maybe afford it within the next couple of years. So that would be really amazing.
Again, I work with anyone's budget within reason. And here's a disclaimer. If you're going with me on one of my tour groups, my fees are $1,000, and that's from me planning everything in your trip to being a live tour guide for $10 a day. So the group with me from San Antonio, New Orleans, I was on 6 days, including travel days, and I had 1 day off to do all my YouTube and social media uploading. If you're just helping me plan, if you want me to help you plan your trip, it's $150. And that's if you go or you don't go, and any question you have, I usually answer questions within 24 hours, if not same day, on social media, YouTube, and email.
And we'll put all that below so that you know how to contact him.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, Jovan, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. You gave us a lot of cool information, and I kind of want to go now.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go to Kobe. Get a Kobe beef steak. It's worth it.
Oh my God.
Trust me.
Yes.
Is it
I
cheaper
would
if you
like
go eat it
totally-
over there?
The thing about Kobe beef steak is you can look up $20 Kobe steak versus $200 Kobe steak with Mikey Chen, and he will make you cry by the end of the video because it's amazing. Kobe steak that you get here in San Antonio at HEB is not Kobe steak, it's Wagyu. Kobe beef steak, you can literally take one finger and press through the meat and it will split like the Red Sea. It is that tender. It's like chocolate and butter at the same time.
Wow.
It's food adventure time.
Yeah, I want to do a food adventure there too as well. But thanks for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. It's Montaque Travels, so if you want to see him on YouTube, some of his YouTube videos, it's Travel with Montague?
Yeah, Travel with Montaque. I'm doing my whole tourism documentary for Hideyoshi this summer. Please check it out.
Yep, we'll link it below
We'll link
too.
it. Well, thanks for checking this out. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Stuart, and that's Jovan.
Hey.
Back to Vince.
Geek out, SA.